I am loading videos. They're just not sticking on YouTube. They are not loading all the way. Unless I sit there and watch them, they won't load, and it's just painful. And so it seems like I'm late, but I'm not. I just want to put another video down below that I had created in January 20th, 2022, about an encounter with a person that, just like most people in my area, happen to look like Jesus, ironically. But I'm 100% sure, and I'm putting this out there because this is my intention, is if you've had an encounter sometime in January 2022, within a year or two of that you saw like a homeless man who said some very true things to you, that prophesied correctly to you, like very casually, you should probably be public about it. And was he sitting on a pavement? Because Gabbatha is also called the pavement. That's where Pontius Pilate sat to judge Jesus, was on the pavement. Even though, I'll put images here, it was more like a block of cement or maybe stone. I think it was stone, obviously. That kind of was risen up and was a bit above the crowd, as they would pass judgments and tell people they're being crucified and whatever horrible things. And when it was revealed to me, because what he wanted was Mountain Dew, he just wanted a drink, he was thirsty. When it was revealed to me via the Holy Spirit, which I'm going on record right now, I stood before the Bema Seat of Jesus Christ. I'm 100% sure. You can call me crazy, but my testimony is true before a holy God. He prophesied. He told me what was going to happen. He said, because we were in the middle of the pandemic at the time, he said, first the die-off has to happen. And he just spoke it. And I even said, oh, well, you mean like the die-off, like what's happening now? He didn't mean this one. He was talking about a cycle that was going to start. And he was referring the other type of, issue that I'm not going to go into. And I'm telling you right now, there's something that happened. And everybody knows it, but nobody wants to really say it out loud. Something weird happened between the beginning of the pandemic and the end of it. The marker for me is the day I stood before, I believe, my king, who was posing as a homeless person. And the reason we didn't know him, and that's the thing, we know all the homeless people. And so it was really weird. They were sitting in a place that we usually know a guy who sits in that similar area, and it wasn't him. And just like all the times that we've encountered all the homeless people, I said, what do you need? My husband and my kid were in the car. I said, what do you need? If I see a need, I fill it. All he asked for was one thing, which was very weird because they usually don't ask for something specific. They usually say like, oh, just hot food, or, oh, maybe just some money. But he was very specific. And it caused me to do, of course, Bible studies. I'm going to put the video down below as to what it caused me to study and where the Holy Spirit kind of went with that. But I'm telling you right now, my biggest regret, outside the fact it was too casual for me, was that the crown of my head was higher than his. Because the Holy Spirit revealed it kind of at the time, but I couldn't handle it. And then later it was like, yeah, you stood before the Bema Seat of Jesus Christ. He posed like a casual person and you helped him. And it was him. He totally judged your whole essence, your whole being, your soul. And my biggest beef was that he sat lower than the crown of my head. That his head was lower than mine. I was recently thinking about the white throne judgment, which is the judgment of the unbelievers. And thinking about the Bema Seat, again, I get that like really horrible, like, I don't know, twinge or feeling of like, ugh, my head was higher than his, like I didn't even know how to approach him. I approached him like anybody else, getting him some snacks. It just strikes me as not fair. And then I went and I researched today what the original pavement that is Gabbatha looked like. And it turns out the one who is passing the judgment where Pontius Pilate was standing, it's actually higher than the person who is being judged, which makes sense. And so the crown of his head was actually higher than mine, technically, because he's going based on biblical realities. He's sitting outside of time, sitting in the seat that Pontius Pilate sat in and had the audacity to judge him by. And he's sitting on the pavement, giving me all the context clues of biblically, this is what's happening right now. And by the way, that pavement is also called the Bema. It's also called the Bema. Gabbatha is the Bema Seat where Pontius Pilate sat. And so the Holy Spirit's made it clear like a bell. And so I do feel like this last research has made me feel better. Now I don't like flinch at the idea of hearing the words Bema Seat or White Throne Judgment, because I know that spiritually he was actually sitting higher. I know that. I mean, I get that, but just my eyes were seeing him and the crown of his head lower than me because he was seated and I was standing. And I just think there's something just horrific about the idea of standing before a holy judge. And the fact he talked casually with me, because he just spoke with like this, not as a fellow person, almost like he was here just to inform me of something so that I would be comforted when things get weird. That's what it felt like. And you'll see the video. I'll put the video below. But basically, I'm recounting that encounter, fresh, because it's been years. So for me, it's been a long time. I've not really thought about it until I start thinking about the White Throne Judgment. And then I see him, whenever I think of the Bema Seat, I see him sitting there. Homeless man, asking for a Mountain Dew. This also correlates with January 15th, 2020, being my first year of making these videos every 7 days. And then 2 years later, almost to the day, that big explosion happened that was felt around the world, made the whole world ring like a bell. And then within a day or two after that, I met him. But sometime after January 15th and the 20th is when I met him in 2022. And that's when he judged me. Now, whether he sits outside of time, so I have no idea when he's really judging people or how he's doing that. He also said that the only reason why people take care of him is because of the fact they know who Jesus is, and he's aware of that. Also, that a lot of good people are going to die because they didn't listen. That's what he said. Okay, so don't pass by your opportunity to meet the King of the universe, who is sitting in the most unusual places. He's not going to be sitting with the governors and with the kings of our day. He's going to be sitting somewhere you least expect. Keep an eye out and fill the need when you see it. May God be with you.